All right. Hello, everybody. I've got two cameras looking at me. I'm just going to look at this one. I'm live at TPUSA SAS, and I'm very excited to be here. Is that me that I'm hearing? That's
No,
weird.
that's somebody else.
That's
That
somebody
is
else,
somebody
right?
else. There's a lot of stuff going on.
It's
you know,
crazy busy.
Oh,
and
is that us?
I can,
Oh, yeah, that is us. That's our audio. Yeah,
Right.
look at that. Primetime 99, Pimp on a Blimp. We are. Look at this. You guys can hear us. Turning Point USA.
Okay, would you please allow me to introduce you?
Please, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay, I have your Wikipedia page right here.
Great.
So,
My Wikipedia page. That thing was written by some probably leftists that are 5 times vaccinated. But please, yes, I'd like to see.
We share a birthday.
No, I'm October. Sure, you're Libra?
I'm an October 18, and you're the 8th.
Yo, wow.
Yeah, that's wild. And you're a right-wing YouTube personality and a comedian known for disrupting local government meetings and confronting politicians and other individuals. You've done some really wacky things that have drawn great attention, and I've been a fan of yours for a very long time.
Well, you know, I really appreciate that. And honestly, it's like the way they describe me is accurate. I am a crazy psycho person. So, I do agree with that description.
I didn't see that in here.
Yeah, I think they talk about my interactions with Dan Crenshaw, with AOC. But one thing that I do get frustrated about, and I talked to your husband, the great Kevin Sorbo, and I think we talk about this, even the conservatives sometimes are just as bad as the left, and what I'm known for is some of the videos, Sam, that have done best is when I went after Dan Crenshaw, who's a conservative. So people love it when people confront politicians, and I think we need more people doing it.
Yeah,
even though it seems goofy and awkward, but we need more people asking tough questions to politicians.
Well, I think that's what it is you try to pinpoint hypocrisy, and then you just highlight it, and people appreciate that.
And we're all hypocritical. I don't want to act like I'm not hypocritical about some stuff, but it's just much higher stakes when we have politicians that are hypocritical with the way they run the country. So that's why it's a bigger deal to call out politicians than just a normal person. So that's why I started to become...
You don't go after normal people.
No, but you know what I mean? Well, sometimes these protesters, that's the other thing. So what happened, a little of my backstory.
Hold on.
Okay.
Alex Stein, ladies and gentlemen.
I got a lot to say.
I didn't get your name in.
Yeah, well,
you are the host of Primetime with Alex Stein
on Blaze TV.
On Blaze TV,
we love Blaze TV. Glenn's such a great guy. I love him.
Now we've gotten your introduction out of the way.
Okay, so now we can dive into who is Primetime Alex Stein. But a little bit about me. Everybody knows me because I go to these city meetings and I kind of disrupt them. But I started speaking out. I'm serious. And nobody paid attention. So once I started acting crazy, that's when the politicians really started changing their tune and paying attention to what was going on or what at least I was saying. And that was huge. That kind of put me on the map. But the content that really, it kind of accelerated my growth is I started to go to drag queen story time. You ever seen those drag queen story times?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And so we'd go there and there'd be these transgenders that are reading literally children novels that are
Now, hold on. They're not transgender. They're drag queens.
They're drag queens.
That is a different thing, right?
It is actually, you're exactly right. Drag queens and transgenders are totally, not totally different. They are different because the drags are doing woman face. It's like a caricature of a woman.
It is.
And trans people are trying to actually assimilate as a woman, which is ludicrous.
Maybe it's a difference without a distinction, but I just feel like it's important that we understand that these people are cosplaying for children. The transgender thing is somebody who's actually convinced in their head that this thing is happening to them, that they are different than the way they appear. But the drag is like, no, I'm going to like put on gaudy makeup, the facsimile of a female, but the worst version of a female ever. Like, it's super insulting to me because I identify, I don't know if you can tell, I identify as a female.
Yes, very much so. I don't think anybody would ever be confused looking
Even though
at
my name's Sam. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't think, and I'm Alex, which is, we kind of have boy girl names, but I don't think anybody would confuse me for a girl, and I don't think anybody would confuse you for a boy. But the thing is, with gender dysphoria, that's what upsets me. If you're an adult, gender dysphoria, and you want to get breast implants, I don't agree with that, but I can't stop you. But what's so evil, I think, is when you tell a child they're born in the wrong body, or you give a child a mastectomy. Like, that is a level of evilness that is, I can't even comprehend it sometimes, that a parent would do that to their child.
No, it's evil. That's the way to comprehend it. It is evil, and it's child abuse, and they're doing it to children in schools on purpose.
But why do you think that is? Like, why would a parent that loves their kid, and I know there's Munchausen by proxy, but why would you ever tell your kids are born in the wrong body?
A parent that loves their kid.
You don't think they love them? Is that what it is?
I think they have a skewed sense of love, because to tell a child now there are parents out there that are being bamboozled. Okay.
Yes, they're by a doctor or by somebody that says
Right.
their kid will commit suicide. That's even so
That's
sick
the
where they do
Elon
that.
Musk version, right?
Yes.
And he had no idea that he was listening to imbeciles.
Yeah.
Because we have all grown up in a trust the experts environment. And so these people are self-appointed experts. I mean, there's a whole coalition. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like they've got their own acronym, and it's a collection of doctors who claim to be experts in the transgender thing. And when they did the study on puberty blockers, and it came back as, hey, puberty blockers really no bueno for kids.
So bad.
They buried the study. Those experts, they buried the study. So the whole thing's off the rails at this point.
And I do a lot of these debates, and people don't realize Lupron, when you give these kids these hormones, it affects them for the rest of their life. People think it's like reversible. These drugs are irreversible. You only have one window of maturation. If you mess up that window, like I know people that are detransitioners, and I don't want to get too graphic, but they literally have atrophied genitals from taking this medicine.
It's actually even worse than that. There was a young girl who just testified. She was transitioned. She was surgically transitioned when she was 14, and she has now detransitioned.
Yeah.
She's 20 and incontinent for the rest of her life. So regardless of if she can bear children or not, which she likely can't, she now has to deal with smelling like pee for the. Could everybody just keep it down a little bit? It's very loud out there.
No, but seriously, to be incontinent and can't use the restroom or have restroom issues as a 20-year-old the rest of your life is not only embarrassing, but it just makes your life that much more challenging. A thing that we take for granted.
Have you ever done something that you really regret?
Oh, of course, but not, like I haven't got like a tattoo. I've just maybe been embarrassed myself, you know. Yeah,
it does not rise to the level of this. And these were people. She was advised by medical people with degrees to do this, and then she went and she left reviews on the surgeon's page, and he took down her reviews, her negative reviews.
Yeah, of course.
Just to warn other people. She's not even given a voice to warn other people.
I know. And like in Texas where they're outlawing this, there's doctors that were trying to, streamline patients to do as many surgeries as possible. Like that, medically, ethically, that is absolutely evil to try to, I guess, just cut off people's genitals in a factory farm setting. Like it's just ridiculous.
Well, we're coming to grips with the fact that it is actually a conflict of interest.
Yes.
And we don't know what to do with that because we haven't been taught discernment in our schools. So while we see that there's a conflict of interest in the medical profession, convincing us that we need all these drugs and then convincing us that we need other drugs to take care of the problems that the original drugs cause and stuff, we don't know what to do with this information now.
Well, and Libs of TikTok shared it. It's this famous video at Boston Children's Hospital where they said that they like to diagnose a child with gender dysphoria because they have a patient for life.
30 grand.
I mean,
for the initial windfall.
So it's become a profitable business. And the amount of gender reassignment clinics in 1960, I think there was a few because there's few. But see, this is where all this science came from. It came from kids that were born intersex. Sometimes children, very rarely, are born with some sort of genital mutilation. And in that instance, it actually is the proper protocol to affirm the gender and, do some sort of surgery early. And in the instance where you're born with a genital mutilation.
Yes, but you just said proper protocol. Okay. Yeah. That's just because that's a protocol that somebody came up with, like 6 feet. Make sure you stay 6 feet apart.
I believe that. But I'm saying in theory.
They were like, well, I don't know what else to do, so I guess we'll just affirm whatever we decide.
Absolutely, just because.
And by the way, that's been proven wrong because they had
they have where people grew up.
The young boy who was accidentally castrated.
Yes, that has happened.
So they decided that he would be a girl, and it messed him up for the rest of his life.
Well, and I am empathetic to the parents where they tell the parents like, oh, your kid is hermaphrodite or intersex, and they make the parents decide right then.
Don't know.
Yeah, the parents are in a really tough position. But my point is like there was like, I guess, maybe a medical application for this. There's like a few of these gender reassignment clinics in the entire world. Now there's 10 in every state. I mean, it's ridiculous. The amount of gender reassignment clinics from 1960 to 2025 is exponentially more. And that's because we have a profit-driven healthcare system. Right. So that's what it comes down to.
Are you familiar with the Johns Hopkins study?
Which study? There's so many different ones.
Johns Hopkins was doing gender transition surgeries.
Okay.
And they did all the follow-up.
All right.
And this is 2 decades ago, maybe.
Okay.
And in the follow-up, every patient was satisfied with their surgery, and they had the same suicidality They had the same suicide rate. So
Okay.
Johns Hopkins suspended the entire program. They stopped doing those surgeries.
What? But everybody said that their gender was affirmed and that they weren't suicidal. Is that or
No? They reassigned They reassigned them surgically,
yeah?
and they remained just as suicidal.
Oh yeah, it doesn't change. I think it increases your did it not increase your
It
suicide?
didn't increase.
Oh, it just kept it just didn't change it.
What I remember was it was the same suicide rate, and so they were like, "Well, we're not making people's lives better."
No, you're not fixing it all, and that's the problem. Is gender dysphoria is a mental health issue, and we're not fixing the mental health issue by cutting off somebody's genitals.
Right? We have tons of mental health issues now, right? Yeah. This is just one among many.
Yeah, and also I think personally these SSRIs, we're overprescribed medication, and these antidepressants. I think that's a big reason why we have so many depressed people is because we're overprescribed antidepressants.
Well, also we are teaching people that they have an entitlement to be happy.
Yeah, that's true. Life is suffering.
Happiness is a choice.
It is. But that's the other thing. Everybody wants a magic pill instead of actually addressing the problems. And I would love a magic pill. Everybody would love a magic pill, but that's not reality. Instead of tequila, yeah, that'll help a little bit temporarily. But seriously, when it comes to the healthcare system, I've lost all trust with it, and that's sad because I grew up with my family doctor, and now he's retired, and I can't go to him anymore. And now I don't trust any. I don't even know where to go, and that's a serious problem. I'm not saying that to be like I'm a victim, but that's an honest feeling that I have. I'm not trustworthy of 95% of doctors in this
internet. You just look up your symptoms and figure it out yourself.
Well, that's what the future is going to be. The future will be you go to CVS and they'll prick your blood, and you'll be in a computer. You'll have a computer screen, and it'll be 5 doctors, and the doctors will know your blood, and it might not even be real doctors. It'll probably be AI, and it's just going to take your blood and tell you, oh, you have cancer of the stomach, and here's this. Get out of here,
Alex. You're creeping me out.
That's what they say, though. Have you never heard this? Is they'll say that there's not going to be regular doctors. You'll go to telehealth, but and this is how they're going to convince people it's better. They're going to say, oh, well, you're going to get 5 doctors at once instead of 1 doctor. You're going to get the opinion of 5 doctors. It'll probably be AI. It won't even be a real human. But that's what it's going to be like. So doctors, they're going to try to make doctors obsolete.
But the problem is now you're beholden to the programmer. And if the programmer wants a new Tesla,
he's going to get you that vaccine. You're gonna have to take the HPV vaccine for the 5th time. So
how did you become what you are today?
Okay, well, my backstory, and I worked in reality TV for a long time, and I worked for a show called Cheaters. Have you ever seen the show Cheaters? We catch people cheating on their husbands and wives. Joey Greco is the host. You've seen it. You've seen it on TV. For 17 seasons, we had the show.
Were you the guy?
No, let me tell you the story real quick. So I started off as a production assistant when I was in college, moved up, became one of the main producers of the show.
Wait, did you finish college?
Yeah, I graduated from LSU in Baton Rouge, and that was crazy. I wish I would actually applied myself a little more in college. I got my degree, but I was like a BC student. But long story short, so I get my degree. I get a job at Cheaters. Worked there for a long time. The host of the show is a guy by the name of Clark Gable. His grandfather is Clark Gable from the movie Gone with the Wind, obviously a Hollywood royalty. But Clark, he was a grandson. So Clark's dad, and you're very familiar with the Hollywood lifestyle, being the son of an ultra wealthy celebrity like that, he fell into drugs, alcohol. And this is the son, Clark Gable's son. He was actually well known. TMZ had a thing where he was driving on the Pacific Coast Highway and he got in a car accident. A bunch of cars were parked on the Pacific Coast Highway. There's like a surfing memorial or something. I think it was like maybe a funeral or something. And it was a 14-car wreck. His dad, my buddy Clark's dad. So this is the kind of dad.
The son of Clark Gable.
The son of Clark Gable. Okay. And I'm friends with the grandson who's the host of the show. I know it's a little confusing, but I'm just saying Clark grew up in Hollywood, friends with Paris Hilton. The most kind of degenerate lifestyle, I guess you'd say, like Hollywood wild lifestyle. And my buddy Clark, he grew up like that. But Clark was a good guy. We were the same age. I think we were 29 at the time. I think I was maybe just turned 30. Clark was 29. We were like right around that age. And Clark had been prescribed pain pills. He had a back injury in Los Angeles. We would film the show for like 6-7 months, and then he'd go back to LA. We'd have a hiatus. Well, we just wrapped up the season. He ran out of his prescription pain pills. He went and bought some from like a street guy. He didn't buy heroin. He bought, this is from hearing from his fiance, he bought what he thought was like pain pills. It had fentanyl in it, and he took them. Never woke up. And this is a guy that had a tolerance. That's why I talk about this. It's not like he was just, some little kid. He was a guy that actually had tolerance to opiates. Took the fentanyl, had a 19-month-old baby, didn't wake up. It changed my life because he was my good friend, and I started taking much better care of myself. It just really was a wake up call because this guy was so young. He was so young, and I would have thought it would take a million drugs to kill this guy. I just wouldn't have thought that taking a pill would kill him with fentanyl. I just would have thought this guy could handle it.
And it was fentanyl.
Well, that's what his wife said. Yeah, I mean, he went and bought pills. So they were fake pills. They say that they're
right. And they're to look that way.
And what they do is they have a pill press and they actually just use synthetic fentanyl. And so you're getting like really strong synthetic opiates, what people think they're taking like a 10 milligram, but really you're getting like 1,000 milligrams or whatever it is. So he died. And the guy that owned the production company, his name is Bobby Ogles, and he said, Alex, I'm going to make you the next host. And I was so excited, but I was so sad at the same time. It was this weird thing. It was like a month after his death. Well, right before we're about to start filming, we get a new host. They say, Alex, we're going to go a different direction. We want to go with an African-American host. So the guy, he was a rapper from New York. His name was Peter Guns. And I was mad, but I wasn't mad at Peter Guns. And they said, Alex, well, would you like to stay on as a producer? And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll stay on as a producer, just why not? I was really
kind of pulled the rug out from under you.
They did. I was really mad, but I was like, I'm going to give it a chance. Our first week of shooting, the show is distributed by Viacom, which owns CMT, VH1, and MTV. Obviously, a huge company.
Right.
In our first meeting, the guy's name is Peter Guns. This is serious. They said, well, we want to change Peter Guns' name to Peter Panky because we don't want to glamorize gun violence. And I was like, guys, we literally caught two dwarfs having sex in a car on the show. And I'm like, this show's gross. It's reality TV. And you guys are worried about guns violence? Like, what are we worried about here?
So he specifically chose the name Guns because he's a rapper.
Exactly.
And you chose him because he's a rapper.
And he's a well-known rapper. He's actually had a hit song. He was a rapper from the 90s, and I can't think of his song. It's like Uptown Girl. He's had a song we've all heard. It's a real popular song. He was like kind of no offense to him, Peter Guns. I know he's had a couple hit songs, but he was kind of a one-hit wonder guy. But I wasn't mad at him. But that's when I quit, and that's when I started my own podcast, and that's when I started talking about conspiracies.
You quit for a name change?
I quit. That was just it. I was like, I'm done. I'm not producing this show anymore.
Because it was so silly.
I was just over it. I was like,
I think you finally realized this is not the way to spend my life.
Well, and I wanted to be the host. And so, and it was funny. One of the cameramen at Cheaters was like, Alex, I have a studio. Come to my podcast studio. Let's just film an episode. I think you could be a host. So I started my podcast. I started to get a little following, it started to actually grow. I got like 10,000 followers, subscribers pretty quick. But then I decided to go speak at these city council meetings right when the pandemic was getting crazy. But I spoke serious at first, Sam. I was dead serious. I mean, I maybe was a little sarcastic, but I was like, you can't shut us down. This is ridiculous. We deserve to go out. I was really frustrated. There's Bachman Lake. There's this lake I like to walk around. It's like a 3-mile lake. It's right by my house. And there's this old guy that used to always walk around there. His name was Rudy, and he had a colostomy bag. He was literally 81. Oh. And I used to see him all the time walking. Would talk to him. We're Facebook friends. And then he stopped going to the park because the bathrooms closed there because he couldn't change his colostomy bag. And I felt so bad. I'm like, this 81-year-old guy still walking every day, still kicking butt. Right. I mean,
and they've ostracized him out of that and regulated.
Outside. This is an outside park. Right. These are outdoor bathrooms. Right. I'm like, how can we not use an outdoor bathroom? It doesn't even have a roof on them, basically. You know what I mean? It's like one of those.
No, it's an outdoor bathroom.
It's an outdoor bathroom.
And by the way, there are no germs in there otherwise.
Yeah, exactly right.
Every other day of the week without COVID, those places are super safe. You could lick the floor.
Only during COVID. Right? Are they dangerous?
I mean, look, remember when they filled skate parks with sand?
Oh my gosh, that was ridiculous.
To prevent the young people
in Venice Beach. Like, why even do that? That's cruel and unusual punishment during the pandemic. Like,
and I'm surprised. I shouldn't be surprised that there wasn't more backlash.
Well,
how dare you? They put such fear in us.
Yeah, but have you noticed that people were kind of sad? I mean, a lot of people were happy as the pandemic was over, but I noticed a lot of people were sad that the pandemic was over because people liked that everybody was cut down a peg and that everybody's life was ruined. I noticed that. I felt like the collective trauma.
Wow.
People didn't want it to end. Did you not feel that at all?
No, I must be living in denial.
Well, maybe you were in Florida, but I did. I
know that there were introverts who were like, "Oh shoot, now I have to go talk to people again."
Yeah, now I have to take off my mask.
That's true, and I know some introverts, so I feel for them, but. Yeah, and there were a lot of people who were very happy to wear masks, but hey, you can still wear a mask. Just join Antifa.
Yeah, exactly right. And think about that, guys. Wearing a mask everywhere you go. Just there's the way we communicate as human beings. Obviously, we communicate verbally, but most of our communication is actually done non-verbally. People don't realize that. It's just we take cues off facial expressions. And so when you wear a mask, we can't even communicate non-verbally with people. So it just cuts off one of the main ways we communicate as human beings. Just disconnecting us. And it's ridiculous. Like, and I always say this joke, and it's a hack joke, but it's like, if a pair of Levi's can't stop a fart, how can a mask stop a deadly virus? Like, a mask is not going to stop anything. It's just a political theater. It's all just meant to scare us. And what I call trauma-based mind control. That's what they use. They use trauma to control us. And that's a typical tool that the government uses. They use fear to scare us into compliance.
Okay. So you started speaking seriously because you were like, dude, this isn't working. This is not
ridiculous.
A good plan. And then you got some traction with that.
A little, yeah. I mean, I got some views, but then what I noticed is I had a video, and Charlie Kirk, I'm so thankful to him. He kind of accidentally really gave me the idea to kind of start doing what I'm doing. I went after the heartbeat bill in Texas, and I went to the Dallas City Council, and I said, I'm so mad that you outlawed abortion. It's the best form of contraception. It works 100% of the time. Like, I don't want to have a bunch of babies. Like, you guys are ridiculous. I get with a lot of ladies. And I just sounded like what you see on TikTok, how you've seen these girls like TikTok their abortion, which is disgusting. I sounded disgusting.
Yes.
And Charlie,
I remember that because Braden, my son, showed me that.
That's what I'm saying. A bunch of people, I think Charlie was the first person that shared it, and that's what made everybody see it.
It was so good.
It was good. And people were like, oh my gosh, this is so terrible. And a light bulb went off in my head. I'm like, wow, I need to put a mirror up to the absurdity of the left. And sometimes, sometimes the right is crazy too, but obviously not as crazy as the left. But just put a mirror up to the absurdity of what's going on in the world. And that really just blew up. And I said, I want to go get Dr. Fauci gave me that ouchie. I said, I want to go insane for the Ukraine. And then I had a video where I dressed in full military fatigues, and I went to the Richardson City Council, and I tried to recruit all the mayor and the city council members to join the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. And a guy by the name of Tucker Carlson saw it and called me and said, this is such a funny video. You're so funny. I want you to come on my show, my Fox News show. Then I went on Tucker's show, and that was like, boom, I was somebody after that.
And you got him fired.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But he's my biological stepdad, and we're doing okay. Qatar's paying us pretty good right now, so we're doing fine. We're doing okay. But no, Tucker, I'm so indebted to Tucker. He's like, he changed my life, so I love Tucker. I would do anything for that guy. But that was kind of that video, the Ukrainian Foreign Legion, then Tucker having me on. Then I started to kind of get noticed by more political, conservative media outlets, and then shortly thereafter, I got a job at the Blaze. So I owe a lot of debt of gratitude to Tucker and to a guy by the name of Mark Dice. I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Dice.
Sure.
But he was the first guy that...
Yeah, he's like the OG, right?
He's the OG, and he's so good. He is so awesome on YouTube. Everybody needs to go follow Mark Dice. But Mark Dice was actually the first guy that, quote unquote, discovered me. I got to give Mark Dice credit. He shared my video where I went to... This video got less than the abortion video, but this was my first kind of viral video. Is right when the mask mandate came down, instead of wearing a mouth mask, I wore a Zorro mask, and it went viral because they're like, "Sir, you have to have a mask," and I'm like, "I do have a mask," and they didn't know what to do. They're like, "You have to have a face covering." I'm like, "It is covering my face," and they're like, "But it's supposed to cover your mouth." And I've seen they have a protocol. They actually had it on the thing. I go, "Nowhere does it say the mask is to cover my mouth." It didn't even say that. It just said I had to have a face mask. So they're freaking out. So then they're following me around the store, and I'm just shopping in a Zorro mask, and I filmed myself shop. I bought something and I walked out of the store, and it was Mark Dice shared it.
So good.
Everybody loved it because that's how crazy the pandemic was.
That's right.
And I'm so happy.
They didn't even get their rules in order to implement them properly.
And I'm just so happy the pandemic's over. Are you worried they're going to do it again?
Yes.
Like, I'm getting PTSD thinking about this stuff right now. I'm recalling Mark Dice, and I love Mark.
I think that we've gotten... I'm a bit Pollyanna. I like to be optimistic, so that's my choice.
That's because we should be. We shouldn't be so cynical. Right? I get in that problem where I'm too cynical.
Yes. And so I prefer to think that a lot of people have actually woken up and are aware, and they will not be bamboozled a second time. But I could be wrong.
Well, this is the thing is before the pandemic, there's SARS, sudden acute respiratory syndrome, MERS, Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. We've had serious respiratory syndromes before COVID. So we're probably going to have one again, sadly. I just hope the next time they do it, we don't fall for the
but
same.
the other ones they really didn't do much about. Like I remember Ebola.
Yeah.
And I was on the air. I did a radio show and I was on the air during Ebola. And I was watching them transport from Dallas, from the airport, in an ambulance in broad daylight. And I'm like, what the crap are they doing? They've told us that if this thing gets out, whatever. I'm like, that ambulance could have a car accident.
Well,
we don't know.
Followed by cameras and media everywhere. It's like it has dangerous Ebola, and there's a crowd of cars around the ambulance.
And I'll be honest, like I kind of fell into that. Like,
of course we did at the time.
I was like, oh my gosh. And then, and my producer was like, oh, please. And I'm like, you're kidding me, right?
See, I wasn't like, I was just like you at the time. I was like, this Ebola is dangerous. I remember in Dallas, like my dad and I were like, oh, they took that patient to, they were like at a hospital off Greenville Avenue. And my dad's like, let's not drive by there. Like, let's not even go by there. We believe the CDC.
Right.
We believe the government.
Right.
I mean, and it took 2016 for a lot of us to wake up because the Ebola thing was like 2014 or 2013.
I think that they've lost a lot of, respect. They've lost what's the word? Credibility.
100%.
And so they're going to have to build credibility up again before they try it again. And I think that that's what's going to happen because they're clever.
That's what I'm saying. They're very clever, and nobody's going to ever say, like, oh, I don't want to go to a doctor if you have a serious issue. I mean, there are a lot of people that don't want to go to a doctor, but just the majority of people, if you have a serious car accident, you're not going to say, don't take me to the emergency room,
right?
You know? So,
but the emergency room does serve a purpose for urgent medical care. It does.
For sure. But there was issues with the emergency care. They weren't giving people care because they weren't vaccinated.
No,
I mean,
there's another viral video of a woman who said, you right wingers out there, just try to come into my emergency room because you're not getting treated by me.
Good
whatever.
Luck.
Good luck, right? Is that what she said? It was really bad.
So that's the type of healthcare system that we have. And
why are we so antagonistic to each other?
I don't know.
We've really developed this antagonism.
I know it's like people just want to hate on each other because I think it's like they're mad at themselves, and a lot of it is projection. I think that's what it is, because really and truly, we don't hate each other, but the vitriol you see online, like after this horrible flood in Kerrville, Texas, and some people just blaming President Trump and saying, oh, it's okay because they're white. Like, I went to high school with two guys, and their daughters passed away. Janie Hunt was one of the daughters, and it's just they're the best parents in the world. They would never put their kid in harm's way, and to say that, it just makes me feel absolutely kind of embarrassed and disgusted.
People lost family members. Like, take a moment. Allow them to grieve before you go after the jugular.
And people die all the time. I'm not saying like we can't talk about this, but she talked about it specifically 27 young kids that were doing Bible study in a few hours before this. Like, it's just, you couldn't be more callous. Like, I get it. We see war videos. People die all the time. So we've been desensitized to death. But the death of 27 children.
Like, maybe because it's here in the United States, we should be a little bit more compassionate.
I think so.
I don't know. I just, like, maybe we've been inured to this because we're so preoccupied with what's happening outside the United States that when it happens here also, it's sort of like, well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
And I also feel like that person that said those comments, they're probably struggling. And a lot of the people that are mad at each other, they're struggling. And so we always have to find kind of a boogeyman or a scapegoat. And I think that victimhood mentality is why we have so much constant bickering, because everybody wants to be a victim. Even AOC, she's kind of another reason that I'm well known. I made a joke. I saw her at the Capitol and I called her a big booty Latina, and she made like 20 videos. I don't know if you ever saw this, Sam. It was one of my biggest videos. It was a joke. She like gave me a peace sign. She gave me we took a selfie together. But then after it, she said it was this horrible experience. But my point is, when she made all these videos about this situation, she acted like the biggest victim, when in reality, AOC was one of the youngest women to ever be voted into Congress. She's incredibly successful. She's not a victim at all. She went to Boston University. So even the most successful, most powerful people in America want to be a victim. So why does a person that's not successful want to play a victim?
Right. I think that that's sort of baked into the system now, sadly. And it didn't used to be. We used to be people who pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps. We were entrepreneurs. We were can-do, not can't do.
And America used to be about second chances, and now we want to cancel everybody. Now a guy says the N-word on a tweet 50 years ago, he's fired. That's not the American way. The American way is you make a mistake and you got to redeem yourself. You get a chance of redemption. You get second chances. Like, that's how I was always kind of brought up, that you can make a mistake, and as long as you try to fix that mistake, we're going to give you a second chance. That's what America's about.
But there's no second chances for transgenders.
No second chances for a transgender.
Just to bring it full circle.
That is true.
Okay. I have, first of all, I want to encourage people to go watch the Alex Stein podcast.
Please, guys, everybody go watch it on Blaze TV, YouTube. And I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Alex Stein.
You're so popular. Oh, so cool.
Well, we cause a little drama. We go crazy, but
it's great.
But I think it's necessary. And this is the other thing is, it's so grateful for what you do. That's why it's like I love that there's people like Angel Studios making good movies that are faith based. I like there's people doing different stuff. I'm doing crazy stuff. We need different strokes for different folks.
And we need people to go out and support his show in particular because you're giving people license.
Yeah,
that's a very good thing because we are now sort of a society that needs to ask for permission and receive it, and that is a very bad thing.
And you nailed it. We don't need to ask for permission. We need to be unapologetically ourselves, and that doesn't mean be rude to each other, but we just shouldn't apologize for being who we are.
Right.
So I think that's
now these days, if you apologize, you're dead. Like that's the kiss of death right there.
I agree.
So let me say, first of all, if you enjoy this show, please go to like and subscribe and leave me a review because I am collecting reviews, and if it's poignant or heartfelt or funny, I am going to be reading them on air. So do leave me a review. Make it 5 stars because why not? And then let's see. I have 3 questions that I ask each one of my guests. We talked a little bit about your education. Do you use it today? So your degree
but listen to my degree. So my first year of college, I actually went to school here at University of South Florida. I played football for the South Florida Bulls. I was pretty good in high school. I played with Matt Stafford. He's the quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams. We were really good.
You play football today?
No, but
okay.
But what I'm saying at USF, I got my butt kicked, so I transferred to LSU. And so when I went into LSU, I went into like the counselor, guidance counselor, I forget what they're called. You walk in there, they're like, what do you want to study? I go, I want the easiest degree possible. They go, okay, well, we have this thing called general studies. I go, what's that? I go, well, you get 3 minors. So I got a minor in business, communication, and sociology, and I use all 3 of those. So I do use my undergraduate.
You're not a minor.
No, I'm not. I'm not a minor. But I'll tell you this much. College, though, I think it's kind of a scam. So be very careful. Unless you're going for like you want to be a doctor or an attorney. I think it's important, but go to like a community college or don't go into a huge financial debt for your college degree. I really think that's not a great decision in this day and age.
I think college is the worst.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you do want to learn, I applaud you for that, but it's not going to automatically guarantee you a job or success in the real world. I'll tell you that much.
What advice do you have for your younger self of any age?
Oh, I would have been bolder and more outspoken earlier. I would have gone on my own earlier. That's what I would have done, honestly, because I tried to.
You had that job and you liked the job, like it was a good job and whatever.
Yeah.
But you kind of wish that something had happened earlier.
Exactly right.
To, be that push.
And like when the bad thing happened, I didn't get the job that they told me I was going to have. I thought it was the worst thing ever, and it was the best.
And it was the best thing ever. I love that. Okay, last, what is the big cultural shift that you think the most important one that needs to take place to maybe get us back on track?
The biggest culture shift that needs to happen, I mean, for me, personally, I think, and I know this is crazy because I'm a guy, but like, we need to talk about abortion in a way that's more real than it is, killing a baby. I would like to see that. I know abortion is such a topic that is such a culture war issue, but I would like people to be more honest about abortion because it's gotten where when I was young, if a girl had an abortion, it was like the deepest, darkest secret. And now people are literally posting about it on TikTok. So I don't know. I'd like to see the culture shift on abortion where people, if you do have an abortion, it's something that is and I'm not saying you should have an abortion, but it's something that you're ashamed about or it's a secret. It's not something that you would post about for clout on the internet. I'd like to see that.
For sure. But I think we should talk about sex.
What do you mean? Less sex?
Less sex.
Yeah. I mean, but
I think we should elevate what sex really is instead of debasing it into, carnal knowledge.
But we're over-sexualized. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how we stop it. These young kids.
And now they're going after kids.
And I'm going to date myself. And I just remember when I was a kid, we had one Playboy magazine that was shared between like 20 guys, like in high school. Literally, I know. I mean, I'm not trying to be weird, but now with the internet, it's just much different. It's much more hardcore. And this is only 15 years. You know what I mean? Like in 20 years, it is so much more hardcore. It's so much more accessible. It's so much easier to get. That's why I'm worried about the over-sexualization of future generations.
Yes. Alex Stein, we had half an hour to solve all of the world's problems.
We tried our best.
We almost succeeded.
Well, we got close.
We'll get you back on to finish up the job.
Finish the
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Show. Remember, folks, speak truth, speak it boldly. We'll see you next time. Take care.